everywhere. So Marquez leads the way, but we've said that a few times over the last 4 years. And
exhaust. Now they'll be hoping that that's not dropping any kind of fluid on the circuit, because Marquez first sector, the gap was up to half a second. Espargaro's coming into the pits. Yeah, Marquez found another 10th on Pedrosa again in the
first, closing the gap on him. Crutchlow running in 5th, obviously Zarco in 4th place. For 7th place. Then we have Jonas Folger, Andrea Iannone, Petrucci Redding, Bradley Smith 17th, Sam Lowe's, and Espargaro, well, as we saw, coasting back with like an engine problem with the KTM.
Yeah, 12 laps to get to the phase of the race where they might start to experience a bit of drop-off with those tyres. There's Jonas Folger, 2 sectors last time around, although they did almost identical lap times.
Here they are up at turn 1. Valentino Rossi chasing his 3rd successive podium finish this season. Valentino Rossi, and as Matt said, 2 weeks' time, 4th round of the championship in Jerez.
Yeah, this would be Rossi's 9th podium in 11 races. Kind of epic showdown we'd hoped for between Vinales and Marquez after that early mistake for Maverick Vinales, put him out of the race at turn.
Really is hanging on by his fingernails at the moment. He's putting up. It's good to see Dani Pedrosa ride like this. I remember when we saw him win at Mazan.
Nick, 20 corners, lots of undulation, fast change direction. We know it's so physical, that first sector. And when you...
Was it the nudge? Yes, there you go with Zarco. It's a bit harsh, I think. They carry on the same path and bring them both down. You look astounded, Matt.
I must admit, I'm a little bit Zarco.
I don't think so, do you?
How far about from looking at that replay? I mean, we didn't think it at the time. We said at the time, you know, Rossi had really no option but to...
It was absolutely, well, there was a lot of fluid in there, looked like oil, and I think that just shows how important these races. That did not end up on track.
Well, Espargaro's come into the pits, compounding an awful weekend for him. As Alvaro Bautista remounted.
Yeah, placing
turn 11.
There we go, turn 11 for Alvaro Bautista. And I tell you, at the front, Dani Pedrosa is terrific. 9.5 laps ago, and Pedrosa hanging in there. Did you see the Rossi-Zarco incident, Dylan?
He had just held his line. He would have lost more speed, having to recorrect his position in that turn. You know, obviously running on is the slightly easy option. I don't want to...
Marquez going into turn 12, but unfortunately then he outbraked himself, but he's fighting back. This is
when Marquez has got to the front, he's tended to cruise to the victory. He's back in the Crichton from the International Race Teams Association, just explaining to Maya Merigali and Lynn Jarvis the penalty for Valentino Rossi. In terms of his position at the moment,
1.2 seconds the board says. We're probably a little bit more up to date than that.
Completely chewed up, so you do wonder whether with some kind of radical setting or something has just put way too much.
13, so both the Aprilias are out of the race.
Second race in succession, no points then for the factory Aprilia.
What's happening at the front? Dani Pedrosa is trying all he can to save with Marquez, and of course Rossi closing up a Zarco. Well, it probably won't matter, so perhaps it's not.
I mean, it doesn't.
They're not to make a great fuss about it.
I mean, it doesn't look like they're posted if they do.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's.
Sage starts getting up.
Because there are going to be some people who said, well, he gained a clear advantage by running off. He got straight back onto the back of Marquez. There are other people who are going to argue had no choice but to pick up and run off the circuit.
This is magnificent replay. We saw actually in qualifying as well. First his knees down, then his elbows down, and next would be probably his shoulder.
And with Marc Marquez, which I think was equally divided, is that Rossi still had a lot of track left to his right, where I think people would have said, okay, you know...
Whole ride from Iannone, he wants some World Championship points, and so does...
Weekend, the Maverick Vinales.
Well, if it remains the same and Rossi finishes third,